constant challenge on the roads. If you look around ourselves, you see that there's fast-moving traffic, there are people crossing the street, carrying things, small kids. We do like to say that road traffic crashes are predictable and preventable, and that is true. They are predictable, they are preventable, you can see it everywhere. Many of these city hospitals in Africa, you find that quite easily 50% of the bed space for surgical facilities are purely patients that have come from the roads. That's a huge cost. It's an expensive affair for the healthcare facilities. So when we talk about countries lose 2 to 5% of their GDP through road traffic crashes, quite often people don't relate that percentage to, for instance, the amount of money that that country is committing to healthcare. And a country like Tanzania, for instance, or many other countries in the same bracket would be losing the same amount of money that they're committing to healthcare facilities through road traffic crashes. The Global Road Safety Facility that is housed by the World Bank, not only does it give an opportunity, a channel for the resources, but it does come with technical assistance, it has independent advisors. So there's going to be a time when governments decide, when their ministers decide that this is the time we are going to act and these are the things that we're going to do to reduce fatalities and injuries on the roads.
The World Bank is really shifting our strategy with respect to road transport. For over 50 years, transportation has been a very important part of the work that we do. We finance about $4 billion worth of road investments every year. But we thought we really have to make that safe. It's not good enough to create new links. We have to think about these things in a new way. So we helped form something called the Global Road Safety Facility. We have the opportunity to take the political momentum that's been built and to really chart a very new future, to really transform the way transportation systems are run. If countries, communities, societies put in place practices, help people think about road safety from the beginning.
What I like about the developments with the Global Road Safety Facility, it promotes life over mobility, which is the most important message. We want a mobile society, but not at the expense of human lives. Because of low capacity in African countries, it is very good that we have templates, things that you can get off the shelf and utilize.
Now, some may ask, why focus on this issue now in the midst of the worst global economic crisis in the century? The answer is that the cost of this catastrophe to the developing world is too high. For example, the economic costs of road traffic deaths and injuries in low and middle income countries are estimated at $65 billion per year.
The cost to the country is tremendous. In fact, the loss per year accounts to 5% of our GDP. Now, that is a very, very high proportion for a developing country, or for any country for that matter. We must do something to cut down on accidents, or else our economy will be seriously affected, since the loss also refers to young, educated people, young men, young women, who are ready to make even greater contribution to the country's economic growth. They are the ones who are in the wastage brackets.
Así que realmente lo que nos está tratando de decir este equipo o este grupo que está generando el Banco Mundial es que ellos están ahí para darnos esa herramienta que nos haga más eficientes en la toma de decisiones que como gobernantes tenemos que tomar.
The leadership coming from the Global Road Safety Facility has been particularly welcomed by countries. We have a range of tools now that we have developed, particularly tools for countries to do a capacity assessment, to diagnose themselves the situation they're in and what they're going to need to do to be able to successfully manage road safety outcomes. And its relationship with the World Bank is particularly significant too. As a leading global development organisation, multi-sectoral organisation that reaches out across all the disciplines, all the practices, and with access to all the information that's available about how countries' economies are performing and what the implications are going to be for road safety. That became clear that that's a major comparative advantage for us.
When one looks at some of our client countries, when I see my own country, I can see that there are opportunities in terms of having the right institutions in place, in terms of having the right legislation in place, in terms of having the right infrastructure and engineering work that will save some life, which reaffirms and confirms our desire to continue to work and invest in one of the areas that in many countries, like mine, in many developing countries, is not in the top of the list. And we need to advocate and to make it one of the items of the top of the list.
I think it is very important for whether it's the financial institutions, the World Bank, the IDB, that road safety is not a byproduct. It's not a added on cost. But this investment is for the future and it will save lives. And it will, in the long term, save millions of dollars. But this is an investment we need to make now.
Now, the Global Road Safety Facility has set out to support first the development of practical tools to address the road safety issue at the country level, but also some specific investigation techniques like the ones which are carried out by the international road assessment programs, which is a way to diagnose on a very systematic and repetitive manner the conditions of a road network.
More than 50% of fatalities occur on less than 10% of roads. So some roads are killer roads. And what we do is identify those roads, we then survey them, and through that survey we come up with countermeasures which will change the characteristics of those roads and stop the fatalities that are happening. The key thing here is that it's capacity building. So we really need the global facility to help us with this. It's genuinely using the facility to strengthen the capacity of what's in the country.
The Global Road Safety Facility has come to our aid in coming up with a country capacity review. In the area of road safety, it is proven that very little investment, very focused interventions could lead to great outcomes.
Working with the World Bank and the facility is very much about working with the stakeholders. What we're trying to do is to bring the local stakeholders together and give them the tools that they can use. The whole process is actually owned by the people in country. We're there to help and advise, and we have examples of one country that then goes on to help another country. We do conferences where countries come together and share what they're doing. So engineers who are working in isolation can now work together and share best practice.
Similarly, also on the global scale, the Global Road Safety Facility is helping put together an international network of police administrations, the road pole, which is meant to help disseminate the best knowledge we have in how to factor in an effective enforcement and education capacity within the road safety management systems.
The facility has reached a sort of maturation point of where it is now in a position to know what it is that countries need, has the tools that have developed tools that can help countries, provide guidance to them and assist them in that early stage. We have the resources to sustain that relationship, and we have the capacity to keep innovating as we work with them, come up with tools that are appropriate to their circumstances, that meet their needs, the sorts of road environments particularly that they're having to work in.
The facility is an initiative that we are very proud because it brings the capacity building, it brings the knowledge, it brings the know-how, it brings investment to make a difference. It has been just recently evaluated and the results are very positive. It has to scale up. Our clients also are asking for its support and we are very proud actually the way we have been moving this agenda.
What we're looking is to commit ourselves for at least a decade of action. We're committed to being part of that decade of action, which should be starting next year, and we're really hoping that other partners will come with us on that as well.
Certainly infrastructure is crucially important. We need to get the road infrastructure right. Through the global facility and through the Australian government, through my organisation AusAid, is working to help address these issues. It's incumbent upon us to ensure that when we're designing new roads, that road safety issues are built into the design of those roads. We're looking at existing roads and asking questions about what we need to do to make these existing roads safer. And by doing this, the poor of our communities, the vulnerable people of our communities, the children who play on the side of the road because they have nowhere else to play, they will be protected.
It's the kid in the street who's innocent. It's innocent lives that are lost. It's an accountability of the society on which we have to be much more responsible the way we look at road safety. So that's why we discussed it as a development challenge, as a priority challenge. It's not only a transport sector issue. It's not only the business of transport people. It's everybody's business.
You think about families who had a productive member of their family who's been killed or injured, who loses their livelihoods. So if we're making steps in trying to improve the lot of the poorest, and then wow, in an instant, that can be just subtracted, how are we going to meet the development goals that we're all trying to attain?
If the construction, the building of our infrastructure, particularly roads, lead to more deaths, let the day not arrive where people will say, were this road never constructed, my son will still be alive. Were this road not constructed, my husband will be alive. And therefore, part of the Millennium Development Goals should be very much as part of our agenda. The road safety should be our number one topic and number one priority because it is so preventable. Let us reclaim our roads, let us reclaim our space.
And that's why the Global Road Safety Facility needs truly the support from many governments, the foundations, so that they can in turn use the potential that is at their fingertips to help these developing nations. There are a lot of children's lives at stake. I am in Moscow for the first ever ministerial level meeting for road safety. It is a historical moment. There are more than 120 countries represented here today. And this will encourage and will galvanize more people to participate, more foundations to come forward. We can see that the doors are opening. This is just the beginning.
All ministers and all secretaries should be about the business of making roads safe. This should be the focus of our attention.
Global Road Safety Facility. Come up with plans and projects relating to engineering, into education, into enforcement. And so it is important that these plans just don't sit on a shelf and accumulate dust. They have to really be action plans.
We're poised to be able to really take some important action. The UN has committed itself to a financing platform working with us on this issue. This facility is going to provide us both with the financing that we and others need to be able to take the messages and to bring action to the local level, but it's also a way for us to share knowledge and to bring others around the table.
The importance of the World Bank's Global Road Safety Facility should not be underestimated. So I hope that the governments that have already given to this facility will increase their payments. But more importantly, I hope that those governments that have yet to decide will be conscious of how important this issue is to the people of their countries and make a substantial contribution to it.
I think we need to set very ambitious goals to address this issue. We shouldn't be timid. We should be looking at what could we really achieve if we mobilised the resources in the right way and targeted them the right way. And some projections are saying maybe the next 50, 60 years there's 70 million lives up for grabs. So why wouldn't we set a visionary goal, particularly when high-income countries are indeed doing exactly that? Could we sit and turn a blind eye to what we know is going to happen with absolute certainty in lower middle income countries? I don't think we can.